Hey guys, Josh the Retro ReGamer here. So I've got something great for you guys this time. So new glasses, new mic, everything should be working a lot better this time. Some of the audio in the video is going to be a little bit mixed during this video because it's going to be a long form video talking about my journey to get the Nintendo Sharp. That's right, the Nintendo Sharp. So if you aren't familiar with what the Nintendo Sharp is, basically back in 1989, Nintendo allowed Sharp to basically manufacture one of their TV units with Nintendo built into it. And they did, and they had it set up and all of that, and they marketed it a little bit, but as far as I can tell, not really that much. It wasn't in the Sears catalog, wasn't in the Kmart catalog. Nobody really even knew that the thing existed from everything I've been able to find. If you look around online, there's a few people that are like, oh yeah, I remember seeing one of those, or I remember that, or if it was an employee that worked at the store may have seen it or taken it home. Some of the display models got bought and things like that. But a lot of people just didn't buy these. One, because they may not have known what they were, and two, they apparently were also pretty expensive. When they came out, they were 145,000 yen, I think, for the Japanese version. The US version, nobody's 100% certain. I've heard ranges from 800, 500 to 1500, 1200. So I actually have a contact that I'm trying to get in touch with who might have an original receipt or an original write-up for one that might tell us what the exact original price was, and if so, then I'll add that into the video as well. But for right now, as far as I know, basically it was somewhere probably around $1,000, which, I mean, that's expensive. If you're thinking about the cost of a 19-inch TV at the time, plus the cost of an NES at the time, you could have bought both of those for about the same price, if not a little bit less, honestly, than what this unit would have been going for. So that's part of the reason why I don't think it sold that well. I also don't think it was marketed very well. There wasn't really any Nintendo branding on it. The only Nintendo branding that it had was a sticker that basically the employee or maybe the factory would apply that said it had the Nintendo seal of quality on it, and that was it. Like, it had the Nintendo sticker, but unless you looked really closely, like on the back of the controllers, they still were stamped with Nintendo, or you did a little bit more digging on it, then maybe you could figure that out. But there really wasn't a whole lot like proclaiming Nintendo, and Nintendo was still relatively new at the time too. You know, they had been out for a couple years. They had a lot of success with the NES, so it makes sense that this would ramp into this. But they were still only, in some people's minds, only a couple years old as a company, as far as a video game company, even though they had been around for a while. So people were still, especially in the West, were still getting used to hearing Nintendo and all of that. So maybe that contributed as well. On top of it probably not being marketed and also kind of being pretty pricey. I'd really be curious what it actually cost to make the units versus what they were trying to sell them at, but I don't know if we'll ever be able to get a hold of that data. But anyway, so my model is the 19 SV 111, which is pretty much the more common of the two. There's also a 19 SC, as in cat, 111, and that model was a later release model, kind of a second edition. It was a little bit more of a sleeker model. I don't think internally or anything like that, anything was really different. It was just a slight redesign of the case a little bit. And those units, it's pretty much understood that they were only in probably hotels and maybe some department store display units, whereas these would have been in several more department stores like Kmart and Sears and things like that. So this particular unit that I got, I actually got it from a guy in Kentucky, and his name was Johnny, and I want to put a picture up of him here in a little bit. Maybe right now I can just add it into the video. So thanks again, Johnny, for hooking me up with that. He had posted it, and we had been in communication back and forth a little bit, and we came to an agreement, made it work out, and I drove up to meet him and picked it up, and I got it with the system with 2 controllers, and it does have the sticker on it as well, although it's in a weird place, the Nintendo sticker. It's usually, I've seen it on the front of the TV, but mine's actually on the side. And it does have one of the doors. It doesn't have the game door, but it does have the Sharp door that covers all the Sharp TV controls. And it is missing one of the feet, broke off of it. But it's got the 3 other feet, and it works really well. And I don't have the remote, and I don't have the manual, but I'm going to go into that in a little bit too, because I actually do have a remote for it. So I'll talk about that here in my next cut over probably. But that's kind of a quick intro of what it is, what we're talking about, and what we're doing. Kind of a quick intro to the Nintendo Sharp, and now I'm going to go into some videos of the Sharp itself and all that fun stuff. So sit back, relax. This is going to be a little bit longer video than normal. Put on your headphones, whatever, and enjoy. Like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Hey everybody, it's Josh the ReGamer. So I am on my way to pick up the Nintendo Sharp, which if you already saw the title, then you already know that's what's happening. And no, I am not in an automated car or driving recklessly, although in an automated car would be pretty cool. But my wonderful wife is actually driving right now, so I can do this video and talk about it a little bit. We've been trading off driving, so that's been really helpful because it's a little bit of a drive, but I think it was worth it. It was the closest one I've been able to find recently, so I'm really excited to take the trip to find it and to get it. So hopefully everything turns out with it good, but we'll see. And I figure I'll just do a couple of videos on the way and kind of have you guys along for the journey. But one thing I wanted to talk about that I thought was kind of funny was I saw this sign on the way here, and it had a picture of an older lady like smelling a rose, and it was like, hey, such and such assisted living, like kind of like, hey, this lady loves it here and the flowers that are here. And that got me thinking, like, whenever we're that age, what are they going to have on billboards to like attract us? And I thought, well, if they're going after the old people gamer crowd, maybe they'll have like arcades and stuff and assisted living places, because how cool would that be if you were an old person and you got to have a sweet old arcade in your assisted living place? Now at that time, I'm sure like everybody else will have like their virtual reality worlds and, you know, be completely disconnected from society, and we'll be old and grumpy, get off my lawn. I remember when arcades were awesome like this and this, but hey, that could be kind of cool. So there you go, 40 years in advance. Somebody needs to start an arcade assisted living place. So you're welcome. That one was for free. All right, so we made it home. We strapped it in. You can see it's strapped in pretty good there. So now hopefully I can get it up the stairs without any problems, and we'll see if everything works okay. All right, so let's do some testing with the NES Sharp. So I got the controller right here. Gonna pop in. I already popped in Super Mario 3. Powered up. There we go. I did get it cleaned up a little bit earlier. It was being a little funky, but let's see. Oh, yep, sounds up. So far, so good. Picture quality looks really good. I can see some faint-looking jailbar type things. On my end, probably can't notice them. Picture's pretty clear. I would say it's definitely a lot closer to composite. I don't know though, like it is very, very nice picture. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. I mean, it's pretty sharp. Sharp. It's got some good details. Let's see. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty clear, nice picture. I'm gonna have to check it against my PVM and just see. The PVM I have, it's composite as well, so I'm really curious on the output. I was looking at the camera screen instead of at the TV, and made that mistake. All right, let's keep going here. Did it again. Yeah. So pretty cool. So I'll zoom back out here. Right, so let's see. I'm going to tilt the camera down a little bit so I can zoom in on some of the features there. I'm going to cover these more in depth too, but you can see it says P right there whenever we're in play. I don't know if that's what it stands for or not. Program, maybe play, I don't know. It's missing the game door. It does have this door, however, to protect the controls and all that stuff, and your volume, channel control. One thing that I found interesting is it does go up to 99, so I might be able to actually hook up a Japanese Famicom to it as well, which I don't have one, but that would be a great one to test on it, because I think you have to have high 90s numbers on the TV in order for that to work with your TV. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I got the other controller there, which flipped around. There it is. Yay! So I got two controllers. You can see the left leg there is broken off. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna leave it probably for right now. I have it specifically positioned on this so it's not putting any weight on the legs. I'm probably gonna mess around with that some more too. But yeah, pretty sweet. Alright, so I turned this around so we could get a really good view of the serial number in the back of it. Basically wanted to point out a couple things. So mine is October 1989. 512455 is the serial number on it, and it is 19SV111, not the SC one. If you see kind of stamped here real lightly in red, it's basically says something a center. I'm pretty sure it came from a Rena Center. It looks like it says off of Broadway, so I don't know if that's like Broadway, New York, or maybe near New Jersey where Sharp was. But either way, I think that's also pretty cool. So I'm gonna just pan down real quick here. And you'll see down at the bottom there. There we go. Your caution sticker, your Nintendo patent information there, licensed by Nintendo, all of that information. And then we're going to take a look at something else on the side of it as well. If you saw, it only had RF hookup down there as well, but then it's got your spot for your antenna to stick in and hold up to. And I'm going to go check out the other side real quick. So this side is cool because of this. So this was the Nintendo Seal of Quality sticker put on. It was supposed to be on these TVs. A lot of times you see them on the front panel down at the bottom. I've never really seen one on the side before, so that's pretty unique in and of itself. But basically what that tells me too is basically these had no real good external branding when they were in the store, and basically an employee was just supposed to go along, I guess, and stamp the picture, the sticker on there, the Seal of Quality sticker, or maybe it was in the factory and they just kind of threw it on there real quick. I don't know, but that's really the only way, other than if they had any good marketing or anything around it, that you knew it was Nintendo, it could play Nintendo, and was official. On the front, obviously it's got the ports, but if you're not familiar with the ports or not really paying attention, you might not think it's Nintendo, and even if you did, you might not think it's official or licensed because it doesn't say Nintendo anywhere else. Now on the game controllers, we're going to look at those a little bit more in depth here in a little bit, but you can definitely tell from those that, hey, that's a Nintendo controller, just black. But also it does have Nintendo, the Nintendo etching on the back here, which we're going to look at closer in a little bit. And there you can tell it's also Nintendo, but it's really subtle. So I really think they just needed to market this thing a little bit better. All right, let's talk about the controllers. So the controllers for the Sharp TV, as you can see here, basically were different, a little bit differently designed, and we're going to do some very exacting, kind of exacting examinations of them. I just kind of want to get a really good view of what they were. And when I first held the controller, I felt like something was a little bit different, but I didn't know what it was. And now putting them side by side, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, but it actually sits a little bit lower height-wise than the standard NES controller, like almost a little bit more compact. And if you look, let's see, it looks like maybe it was just the towel. Because they look really close on when I hold them up like this, so maybe that was just being silly. I don't know, it just seems a little bit sleeker, but it could just be because the black, I think, is playing some optical illusion tricks on me. Because, yeah, it looks thinner, but I don't think it actually is thinner, which is really interesting. So, yeah, not really thinner. The faceplate here, you can see the picture is a little bit different on both of them. basically you can notice this back sticker piece here. It's got these lines going down to select and start. It's different than the Nintendo. Where the Nintendo logo is here, it just says Game Television. You've got the B and A swapped as well. So it appears above it, which I actually kind of like, because whenever your hand's on the button, you're not covering up whether it's B or A. Now, if you've played it a lot, then you already know which one's which, but that's kind of just an interesting little thing that I hadn't really paid attention to before. The buttons all feel very much the same, very similar. Select and start feel very, very close to the same as the original. I would say they might feel a little bit more firm than the original one does, but that could just be from wear and stuff. You can see the D-pad is pretty much the same lined up, and then the buttons look pretty much the same. I will say, looks like these buttons have a little bit more of an edge on them, and that could just be from wear. Could be a little bit difference there, but these feel a tad bit more concave. So maybe it's just wear from this one, or maybe they really are just a little bit more that way. If you look at the back, and it makes sense too that they probably wouldn't have remolded these. Like, this is the same plastic. I mean, the screws are in the same place and everything. If you look at this, the little stamped impression there on the bottom, let's see if I can get it to come into focus here. We'll get some light on it. It still says Nintendo on it there. Nintendo controller number NES004. Still the same number controller. This one's also NES004. And I'm going to open them up, and I just wanted to see if the boards happen to be any different or look any different. I'm expecting them to not be any different. But yeah, it's weird, because even like looking at them like this, it looks like this one's a little bit of a smaller controller. It doesn't feel or look as big, but I think that's just an optical illusion, because I think they're actually the same mold. Just one's in black plastic and one's in that kind of gray plastic. Weight-wise, they feel about the same. I don't notice really any feeling of one heavier over the other. It does still feel like this one might be thinner slightly, but it's pretty much negligible if it's actually there. So, take that as you will. But we're going to open these up and take a look at them insides as well. All right, so I've taken out all the screws here. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the backs, and then we can take a look at them together. I didn't open them all the way yet. I might not have gotten the screws completely. Let's see, it looks like they were grabbing a little bit still. Okay, there's the back of the NES. And let's take out the back of the Sharp. Alright, so right off the bat, you can notice this one has a little bit of a darker looking board. Board stamped also differently, S97N. This one's S774. So maybe some slight variations there, but this is 568583B. So I don't know that this would be really any different than you might see if, depending on like if different factories or something, or different product lines might have done the different boards or whatever. So those look pretty much the same as far as we can see from there. Looks like the lines and everything are pretty much identical. I'm going to see if I can pull this up here. Yep, and get off the pads. Yep, so there we go. There's the other side of it. You can see the board there, the board number. I'll do the same thing to the Sharp controller one. I actually need to clean the Sharp controller one too, so while I have it up. So same thing, a little bit of differences there. You can see on the pads there, pretty much all the pads are in the same place. Looks like everything for the most part is pretty identical on them. Again, maybe a little bit more wear on this one, a little bit less wear on this one. This one looks pretty clean actually. I want to clean the button itself, because it's been having a little bit of sticky issues, so I want to clean that. Then you can see in the shell here this 567577G1. So maybe that means game one. I'm not sure. It might be a different model type or something there. Let me see if I can get that into focus. Yes, there you go, right there. I don't think I saw something like that on here. This one just says U1 on this unit here, so that could be a difference in the molded plastic types or something of that sort. So anyway, I'm going to clean this, take this one a little bit more apart and clean it. But there you go. So inside, pretty much identical. Definitely, you can see a difference in the plastic molding. I'm going to go ahead and flip over the cases here, pop the screws out, and just see if we see any differences here as well. You see, I've got A4 on this one and C4 on the black plastic for this one. Again, that could just be a different mold, or like different because of the different color mold, or it could be because of a different factory unit or something like that. So overall, pretty much identical, but still pretty cool, and I never opened them up. I've never seen anybody open them up, so I did it just because why not? Hey guys, alright, so here's the remote. You can see my scratch marks on the top left there because I'm working on a button. But so this is basically just the like the same model remote for the TV, or a slightly different model, but same remote for this TV, and it works with a Sharp TV. And if you look, so I took off the back, but if you look real quick here, I set it over the thing. It's got all the buttons and layout for the game TV. Now on the game remote, it would normally be here, but on this remote, it's actually right here. But it's basically the same chip, same board, it looks like. So I tested it, and it looked like it worked. So I'm going to cut out that space on here, and then I'm going to add in a little button, or I might flip the pad of this one, and we'll try and go from there. All right, here we go. So I've got my modded controller now, as you can see here, or remote. So I'm going to power on the TV, and it should come up. Yeah, you can see, get some snow there. Super Mario. Now if I press this, switches back to TV. Push it again, switches back. So there we go. All in the remote. So yeah, I basically cleared out a hole there. I don't know if you can see it. And try to get to the button. There's like a half button there, and so I stuck another extra button on top and cut out enough of the hole to hopefully get it through there. And now I can press it. You have to press a little harder, so I might mess around with that and try to make it fit a little bit better, like make it stick out a little bit more. But otherwise, it's working pretty well. All right, so you might be asking yourself, Josh, what are you doing now? What's that contraction on the TV? Well, if you aren't familiar with that, that contraption is part of the wonderful, amazing Nintendo Power Glove, which I am going to show you right now. But you've also probably seen, if you watched my other videos, because I did a video on it actually in the black collector case is what they call it, but we're still not 100% sure what the case is. But here's the power. The glove of power. So I realized that this TV might be perfect for the Power Glove, because if you notice, I actually had to shrink the if the cords extend out inside of the post there for the Power Glove. I actually had to push them together to get them to fit correctly on this TV, and it kind of looks like that might have been how they would have been packaged, and then people just stretched them over time because they needed to fit on their bigger TVs. So I'm really curious to see how well this responds with good old Super Glove Ball. So we're going to give it a shot here. I want to pop it in, and we'll see if we can get it to work. Nope. There we go. I cleaned it and pressed reset, and it worked. So, glove ball. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to try to center myself. Let me press start. And I need to configure it for the center, so let me center it. Maybe. Let's see. This might be the bad glove. I actually was testing with my other glove. Yep, this is the bad glove. Alright, so here we go. Basically, I had to swap out the setup that I had, and I went ahead and went for my one that, if you saw my video on the Power Glove, I'm using that one, which I don't think it had actually ever been used before, because everything is still super clean on it. And whenever I plugged in the glove into the little power box down there, it was kind of hard to plug in, kind of like the plastic was in the way because it had never been plugged into it. So this should be a pretty good, straightforward experience. So I'm going to try to lean like this over the camera so you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm straight onto the TV, but it looks probably like I'm at a weird angle for you guys. But here we go. So you can see it actually is registering pretty well. Grab the ball. I'm going to throw it. Okay. Go here, grab it, throw it. It's pretty much the best game for the Power Glove. There was a Brawler, Bad Street Brawler, I think is what it was called, or something like that, which was also a Power Glove game. But those were the only two in the Power Glove series. But actually this works pretty well. So if you have a working sensor and power glove, it works pretty well on the Sharp TV. So there you go. And it fits reasonably well on the TV. So, crap, I missed that one. But yeah, so there we go. Just started another ball. Alright, crap. Grab it, throw. I think I can also just hit it back. Oh, and it just freaked out. So that's as far as I guess it's gonna get. So might need to clean the game a little bit more. There you go, guys. That's the Sharp NES TV. So pretty cool thing, pretty cool, unique design and everything. I really wish that we would have seen more of these and that they would have been more popular back when they first came out. It would have been really awesome to see a US one for the Super Nintendo. There was a Super Nintendo or Super Famicom version that came out in Japan, all on one unit, just like that. But as far as I know, not a Super Nintendo one, which I think if they had marketed it well, and by that time when the Super Nintendo came out, everybody knew who Nintendo was at that point. I think they really could have just knocked it out of the park with something like an all-in-one unit like that for bedrooms or for kids' rooms or things like that. But, you know, that's what happens. So poor marketing, potentially poor labeling, poor decisions kind of all stacking on top of each other, expensive costs, all of that, you know, not appealing and not pulling in the kids enough that they can get their parents to buy it and not making it enough visible for the parents. I mean, who knows? There's so many different ways that it could have gone. But either way, pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the Sharp Nintendo. If you've seen one, maybe if you have one, or if you want to get one, or what your thoughts are on it. Overall, I think it's a pretty cool system. It's a great conversation piece. Really fun. You know, you can sit down and play it just like an NES. And I haven't decided if I'm going to do anything else with mine yet. I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is for right now and just enjoy it like that. So there you go. Let me know if you want me to do any more videos on it. I've thought about trying to do the Game Genie with it, kind of see how that functions. Maybe see if you could use that to do a Famicom game on it, or maybe even the Famicom disk system. I was playing around with potentially doing that. I don't think in this format it'll be very easy to do that, so I might have to come up with some finagling to get something like that to work. So, but I'll look into that, might do a part 2 video and include some of that. So there you go. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and again, thanks for watching.